When we mention comedy in Kenya, then we have to mention Churchill Show. The show is undeniably the biggest comedy show ever aired in Kenyan television. Through the show, we got to experience different talented comedians like Eric Omondi, YY, the later year Poa, Butita, Mamito, Jemutai, and many others. But there's one man I want us to talk about, Njoro, the comedian. In the Churchill Show, if you remember, Njoro was fond of talking about his father and people from Kiambu and Karen. People fell in love with his comedy, but what you might not know is that Njoro actually never wanted to pursue comedy. He never thought he was funny, but his friends and workmates pushed him to try comedy, and they were right. Njoro was actually funny. And after joining the Churchill Show, he rose to becoming one of the funniest comedians in the show. He featured in many episodes, and his career was booming. But as they say, the devil comes for you at your highest moment. In 2019, Njoro faced a lot of troubles. He was depressed, he was an alcoholic, and was even contemplating suicide. Even worse, Njoro lost his father. I know you are asking, so what happened to Njoro after the loss and the depression? And where is Njoro today? After days of searching for this man, I finally managed to talk to Njoro so that he can answer these questions. So this is a special video. Remember to like this video and, most importantly, subscribe. Njoro is living proof that there is God, and we'll later understand why in this video.
Mimi nakwambia mimi ukavitini nasema mimi am living proof there is God.
Njoro is the second born in a family of 5 children. His full name is George Maina Njoroge, so it's obvious that Njoro came from Njoroge, which is a name that he got from his grandfather.
My full name is George Maina Njoroge. Yeah. Njoroge ni ambabu. Na according to our culture hii yetu, firstborn huitwa kwa kina mama, secondborn anaitwa kwa kina baba. So me are secondborn na family of 5. So Njoroge ni babu yangu.
Njoro's family was living in London, and not the kind of London we know, but a London located in Nakuru. This London is totally different from the real London. It's a slum with horrible living conditions. Just like most slums you know, you will find Busa, Changa, and also London in Nakuru has a dumping site. They also lived in Hilton, which is yet another slum located in Nakuru. To make you understand how horrible life was, they used to pay 300 Kenyan shillings as rent, and by that we know that it was not a fancy house. Sadly, the family was always locked out of the house due to lack of rent.
There's a place called London and Hilton. Huko ndio nililelewa. Unasikia inaitwa London na Hilton. Unaweza fikiria ni place poa sana.
Maisha London, my friends.
Go there. That place ni mbaya.
And maybe you're asking, how can someone fail to pay 300 Kenyan shillings? The parents obviously were working. What were they doing? Where was their father? First of all, there were 5 kids, and his mother, Jacinta Wahu, sold tomatoes or nyanya.
Because my mom used to uza the nyanya, the vitungus.
His father, Charles Maina, was just a casual laborer, and according to Njoro, he used to work at a flower farm in Naivasha.
Kitu fani mzee wangu alikuanga mtu wa mkono, you know?
Yeah.
Mzee wangu alikuwa anafanya kampuni inaitwa Sha, that time ilikuwa inaitwa Sha Agencies. Inaitwa Sha Karuturi.
Yeah.
Huko Naivasha. It was a farm, ilikuwa farm ya maua huko.
Flower farm workers don't earn much. According to this article by The Star, they get a starting salary of between 7,000 and 10,000 with allowances. This is below the minimum wages in Kenya, which are about 15,000. And this is in 2023. So probably the salaries were even lower back then. Nonetheless, the parents still managed to feed them and take them to school. Njoro attended Milimani Primary School and later joined Moi Secondary School, both in Nakuru County. Just to mention, his primary school fee was 300, just like the house rent. And again, his parents failed to pay and would often be sent home. Anyway, we now understand why. After completing his secondary education, Njoro had to look for something meaningful to do, and the only place that people believe they can get good jobs and get rich is Nairobi. So Njoro traveled to Nairobi. thinking that life is easier as compared to Nakuru.
Unajua I thought ukikuja Nairobi pesa ziko tu hapa. So I found that sasa hapa ndiyo hakuna pesa, you have to work. You don't have to sleep, you just have to work.
Life in Nairobi was challenging, and we'll later understand why. In Nairobi, he joined Magenta Training Institute, where he pursued a course in journalism. As he pursued this course, there was no money. He was always in and out of school due to lack of school fees, and so he started hustling.
I used to be a mjengo.
Yeah?
Wapi? Na hii mwili I used to carry stones.
Wapi huko mjengo?
Kabete.
Hey,
yeah.
That's the first job you did.
That was the first job, and by the way I was living in a slum inaitwa Huruma.
From Huruma, Njoro moved to another slum called
Nyuma ya Msikiti.
Okay.
There's a very big slum there.
He also got another job as an electrical assistant, but he later quit this job as it was dangerous. Life without a job in Nairobi is tough. Remember, Njoro was out of school and was living in a slum, so he decided to go back to Nakuru and try farming, as he thought that farming was better than living in a slum. But his mother was against this decision, so she told him to return to Nairobi and gave him some money to pay his rent and fees, and Njoro returned to Nairobi and got back to school.
And my mother looked at me and told me, hapa uishi. You need to go back to Nairobi.
Make it work.
Nikamwambia sasa, wewe na unipendi. Sasa nimetezeka huko sasa. Wewe unajua salamu wewe. Ushaishi kwa salamu wewe. Wewe unipendi. Ndio maana hata unitaki.
But ukarudi.
Nikarudi.
After school, it was time to look for a job. This is a time when you realize that you don't just need good grades, but also a miracle. Finding a job is not a simple task. Njoro sent many applications trying to find a job. He visited almost every media house in Kenya, but no one was willing to give him a chance. But at Radio Africa, she met a lady called Carol Radul. Njoro was constantly disturbing Radul, and he finally got an attachment at Radio Africa as a reporter and editor. Radio Africa owns several radio stations like Kiss 100, Classic 105, and Radio Jambo. In case you're doubting Njoro reporting skills, watch this.
President Mwai Kibaki has suspended Road Assistant Minister Wilfred Machage, who is currently facing 8 strict charges. Machage, unaona huyo jamaa kai.
Now let's talk about his entry into comedy. Njoro's dream initially was to become a great reporter like Larry Madowo or Jeff Koinange, but that never happened because he got into comedy. Njoro's entry into comedy was not a personal decision. He never saw himself as a comedian. It was friends and workmates who told him to try auditioning for the Churchill show because they believed he was funny.
Very funny. And Churchill, na mimi sidhani I'm funny. But then I never thought I can be a comedian. Nao ilikuwa wananiambia ni the Churchill kwa nini.
After much consideration, Njoro decided to go to the auditions, and what could possibly go wrong? Friends told him that he was funny. Now, the auditions were not friendly. Despite hoping for the best and thinking he was the funniest man on the planet, his performance, according to the judge, was underwhelming. He was told that he was not funny, and he should go back and continue with the other things he was doing.
I was told you are not funny.
That was the first time you went. When was that?
Yeah, rudi kazi. Ilikuwa tu 2010 hapo. Kambiwa not funny.
The rejection never stopped Njoro. Njoro was resilient, as he was sure that eventually he would make it. He kept showing up for the auditions without fail, and he did this for 2 months. And at last, he was finally given a chance to perform, but the performance was horrible. Njoro prepared for the performance at night, but the following day when he got on stage, all the jokes disappeared, and he spent 5 minutes just greeting the audience while trying to remember the jokes.
The first time on stage, jokes zote zikapotea. Nikasalimia watu for 5 minutes.
Allah.
Yes. Vipi wasee? Watu wanasema poa. Mesema mko poa? Poa. Waseme sema aje mko poa? And then ikatoka stage.
He was booed and heckled during the entire set, but it's understandable. This was the first performance. Njoro knew he was talented, so one bad experience couldn't stop him. He decided to go back, but his second performance was not different. Luckily, he managed to crack a single joke after endlessly trying to interact with the audience, before the rest of the jokes also disappeared. This time, the show's director was angered by the performance and he was sent away for some time. Even after the second performance went bad, Njoro was not willing to give up. Many people would give up after the first and second attempt, but not Njoro. He kept writing and perfecting his craft, learning how others were doing it and trying to do the same. He made a grand comeback and he was now more confident and remembered his jokes. In Churchill Show, if you're starting out or you're new in the game, there's a possibility that you will first perform at Churchill Row before transitioning to Churchill Show, which is bigger. So Njoro first performed at Churchill Row and would later join Churchill Show. At first, Njoro never told the family about his life in comedy, and it was quite shocking when they saw him on television performing. Now this and many other performances made Kenyans fall in love with his comedy. His comedy was simple and relatable. He talked about his own life experiences, like how men from Kiambu treat their wives.
Usiwe kama wazee wa Kiambu after wedding kinaingia kwa nyumba. So baba Kenodia, what next? What next ni atio ugali ikiugua nitakugoga wewe.
He also liked talking about his father.
Mnajua Hitler alikufa aje? Tukamwambia, baba hatujui. Msiambie serikali. Hitler nilimwonga teka pashini. Tukamwambia, baba, according to history, Hitler ali commit suicide. Kwani mnasema Hitler mgani? Mimi nasema Hitler mongo huyo hapa Dedelu.
At times he also talked about other random things like this.
Kuna watu walituambia akili ni shida yao, hawakutuambia ni nywele za wapi kwa sababu.
Njoro said in a few interviews that his jokes are inspired by his dad's character and Kiambu, where he used to live.
What inspires your jokes though?
My father.
Your father?
He made several appearances at the Churchill Show and became mega famous. And with fame comes opportunity, and Njoro got the opportunities. Comedy was paying, not so much, but enough to live comfortably. Njoro was performing in comedy clubs, in corporate events, and also got featured in several adverts. With all this, you'd expect him to have a lot of money, maybe have a Porsche car, and live in an expensive place. But according to Njoro, he remained humble even after the fame. He was living an extremely normal life.
Mimi sijawahi jaribu kuishi in an expensive house because of people. I've never. Mimi nilikuwa naishi Keno. In a 2-bedroom house in Keno. Gari yangu ilikuwa flat. And I was comfortable.
Besides the Churchill Show, he also appeared in a local stand-up comedy show called The Laugh Out Loud or LOL Show. Njoro was planning to join radio and was planning to set up his own comedy show. And like fellow comedians, he got into content creation and had a video series called Njoroge Wandume. Eventually, he found his way into television and was hosting a show on KTN called The Chama Show that used to air every Sunday from 4:30 to 5 p.m. Still in comedy, Njoro was planning comedy tours abroad. An article posted by The Star on December 16, 2020 indicates that Njoro had gone for 3 US trips and had earned 1.3 million shillings in each. And how did he spend the money? Of course, partying. And he spent some of the money with his family. But what he regrets is that he did not use the money to secure assets. Even though he appeared to be successful and happy, he was silently fighting personal demons that ultimately affected his mental health. The depression was so bad that he was not working.
Nilikuwa na opportunity mob sana. I had so many opportunities. Nilikuwa mpaka na nilikuwa napigia simu hata na wase the who's wala wase unajua. At hiyo time depression imenipiga na ni kama ni waste of time, you know.
In July 2020, Njoro opened up to Kenyans after fellow comedian ZD reached out to him, saying he was on the verge of giving up as he was fighting depression.
Sasa maisha imekuwa ngumu kwa kila mtu. Inanyesha kila pahali. Mimi imenitandika lakini mafans wangu na wako.
Njoro revealed that he had lost everything and all his friends had then abandoned him. Njoro narrated attempts to take his life 3 times, but by some miracle, he failed in all the attempts. He said that in October, November, and December 2019, his mental state was so bad that he tried to drive his car off a cliff at the Rift Valley viewpoint area. But a truck driver intervened and saved his life. He further revealed that in his 2 other attempts, he had taken rat poison and slit his wrists.
Ingine nilijaribu kujikata hapa. Wrist.
Njoro went on to plead for help to access a therapist. He also pleaded for job offers, saying that he was ready and willing to take up any job. In an interview with Nairobi News in 2023, he revealed that his struggles with alcoholism and smoking took a toll on his mental health, leading him into a deep state of depression. I started smoking without knowing that I had bronchitis. It was not attacking me until I started smoking. I used to smoke 40 cigarettes per day. There was a time I would get hallucinations after 1 beer. It was about that time that I had to disappear. I had lost myself completely, and in the midst of all that, my dad fell sick. His father was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and it's something that drained him to an extent of falling to depression. After this revelation, Kenyans rallied to support him and was taken to rehab, where he spent 3 months. Sadly, in 2021, Njoro's father died, and this is what made him feel even more devastated. Njoro announced the sad news to his fans on Instagram, saying that he's broken by the death of his dad. I'm broken, totally broken. Where do I even start, or what should I even do? Dad, why now? Rest in peace, Dad. R.I.P. Baba Njoro. Till we meet again, Lala Salama. I loved you and will always do. Shine on your way, Dad.
So, and that year, my father died, somebody who I was very close to, you know. Yeah, so me after nililose mzae, nilibreak. Yani,
Njoro eventually left Kenya to recover from depression in America, where people say he went into hiding. But while there, he did a state-to-state comedy tour, and he told me that he was forced to stop it because of the weather.
So ilikuwa nipige state to state, na venye wakina Kevin hata wanataka state to state. So ilikuwa nipige hii wiki natoka, hii wiki natoka, hii wiki natoka, hivyo.
Yeah.
But now, sasa kumbe mimi si Kevin Hart ndugu yangu. Kevin Hart anaweza enda kukiwa Kevin Hart anaweza enda kukiwa na jua, kukiwa na baridi.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart anaweza perform kukiwa winter, kukiwa summer. Mimi lazima ni perform kukiwa summer. Sasa wa Kenya wananiona.
Njoro now lives in Seattle in the US and is planning to get back into content creation. He also believes that one day he'll perform comedy in Kenya and entertain his fans like before, because the bond he had with his fans is something he misses.
So niko place inaitwa Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
Napiga tu shughuli hapa kule. Kuna series napiga. Kuna show niko nazo Oktoba, niko na show 2 Oktoba. No, moja confirm, ndio nyingine watu confirm. So nataka kurudi kwa stage because I think that's where I belong, you know?
Now, just like every human, celebrities face challenges, and Njoro is no exception. But despite his struggles, he rose from the ashes, teaching us that it's okay to stumble, as long as we have the courage to rise again and continue pursuing our dreams. It's possible to rise again and shine even brighter than before. To date, Njoro is still one of the most beloved and respected comedians ever. I believe many people want Njoro to make a comeback, and Njoro wants to make a comeback. And we wish him all the best.
I think the day, ile time napanga kuchukua tiketi yangu ya kurudi Kenya.
Yeah.
Nataka nichukue ile time itakuwa recording ya Churchill show. Unashuka airport kama umeenda stage. That's how I miss the stage. That's how I miss the stage.
You can watch this full video on my Instagram at ongori.reports, and don't forget to follow me. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video, comment what you think about Njoro, and also subscribe. Let's meet on the next video.